Here's my game of the day from round 8 of the Sharjah Masters, and I'm not going to look at one of the very top games. I'm looking a little bit further down the tournament, and this game is really an object lesson in how a stronger player can outfox a weaker player. So it's the game between Nino Maisuradze, who is originally from Georgia, now represents France, and her opponent with black was Sunilduth Lyna Narayanan. I hope I've got the pronunciation right. So Maisuradze is rated 2273, Sunilduth is rated 2526, and he's 19 years old, from India. There are 92 Indian players in the tournament, and so many outstanding talents. You know, I've been focusing on Pragnananda. He's only 11 years old, but there are many others. Not just the teenagers. But, well, for example, Sunilduth, he's 19. You know, these guys don't get the attention, but they're all incredibly strong. And, you know, Pragnananda might succeed in making it to the very top, who knows, but there are so many others, and it's impossible to say how they're all going to fare. As usual, it's a combination of talent, hard work and character that will decide who finally makes it in the chess world. Anyway, this game, Maisuradze played d4. So I'm going to look at it from the black side for a change. And everything's standard so far. I approve very much of black's opening. I like the Queen's Gambit very much with black. Queen's Gambit decline, that is. And here Knight f6 would be the normal move. But Sunilduth plays a slightly unusual move, pawn to a6. And this move is really becoming very fashionable at the moment. It's seen more often in this position. And yeah, we've seen quite a few games in that line recently. Carlsen has played it, for example, Nakamura. We saw it the other day in this tournament with Abdusattorov played as well. But so a6 is a move earlier, but it doesn't make a huge difference to the position. In fact, this is a very old move. Rubinstein played it way back, over 100 years ago. Alekhine also played it in his World Championship match against Bogolyubov in 1934. So it has quite a history. So the idea is very plain. Black would like to take on c4 and possibly just hold on to that pawn with b5. So that often induces a reaction from white. Either, well, generally the most popular move is just to take on d5. The game I mentioned between Bogolyubov and Alekhine from the World Championship match went c5. But after this, well, you could recapture with the pawn, but Alekhine played c5 to strike at white's centre, and that's a very logical reaction, and only later picked up the b pawn. So coming back to this position, Maisuradze played the normal move to exchange on d5. So now we've got a kind of Queen's Gambit exchange variation, but if the bishop comes to f4, then the bishop can move to d6 in one move to trade off the dark squared bishop. Often it comes from e7 to d6. So in that way you sort of try to prove that a6 isn't actually a wasted move, because bishop to e6 comes in one move. That's the theory. So, for example, here's a game by Carlsen in the World Blitz from 2015, where Carlsen was playing black. There you go, bishop d6 came in one move. And bishop f5, so black has already got his pieces out to decent positions. So it's quite a favourable Queen's Gambit exchange variation. But Maisuradze played queen c2, so that's pretty early development of the queen. The idea is clearly to prevent black's bishop from occupying this important diagonal with bishop f5. But there is a drawback to this move, which Sunilduth hits upon straight away. You know, you could play bishop d6 here or something, but Sunilduth finds a very interesting move. He plays knight c6. One possible idea is just to play knight b4 and then bishop f5, and that's actually a little bit awkward for white to meet. Therefore a3. Well, if a3 has to be played, then already I'm having doubts about queen c2. And now bishop g4. So suddenly black even has an advantage in development. So obviously a threat to take here and take on d4. And it's already, you know, after just 6 moves, white has been presented with some difficult decisions actually. You know, do you allow this knight to be exchanged off and the pawns being damaged? You know, do you play e3 here and allow this structure? And personally, I think that might be white's best actually. But of course, black doesn't need to trade straight away. Black could simply play like this. And I would say that black's opening has been a success, as this bishop is now blocked in, and black can decide later on whether to trade on f3. But Maisuradze was concerned clearly about her bishop on c1. She didn't want to block it in, so she came back with the queen in order to protect the d-pawn. Well, clearly that's an admission that something has gone wrong, and you know, she thought for 16 minutes over that move. And Sunilduth took the opportunity to trade on f3. So already we can see there's a dynamic imbalance in the pawn structure, and black has decent development, so I think Sunilduth would be very happy with the outcome of the opening. Now you could play bishop d6 here and maybe knight e7 to g6 as possible, but he selected g6, another very interesting move. You know, he's perhaps looking to just play bishop g7 and try and close this diagonal. Well, that prompted Maisuradze to play bishop f4. And now bishop d6 is possible, but he played bishop h6, a really interesting move. If the bishop tries to duck out of the exchange, then black could advance with f5, obviously wanting to trap the bishop, and after f4, knight f6. And it certainly looks a bit miserable with the bishop on g3. So Maisuradze exchanged on h6, but I mean, this is really what black wants. Excellent development and a very clear plan actually to attack on the king side. And rook e8 is a very clever move because this forces white to make a decision about the king, about her king. You know, it's still possible that white could entertain the idea of playing knight c3, queen c2 and castles queenside, but after rook e8 there's no time for white to sort of hang around, because suddenly there's a threat to take here, and don't forget queen h4 and some kind of threats. So white has to castle queenside, but kingside rather. But now this is a real target, and with the knight on h6, it's funny, instead of f6, then that means that black's queen is all ready to come to the king side. So this is absolutely perfect. So very smartly handled by black. And now the knight swings round to the king side and protects the pawn, of course. And this is already a very difficult position. And now, to my eyes, this is a classic Queen's Gambit type position for black, where you have a really solid centre. Your structure hasn't been compromised in any way. You have really free development for your pieces, and because of the weakness to the king side, you basically have a free hit on your opponent's king. So let's see how things worked out. Knight f5. Well, now you can see there's already a threat to take on e3 with a knight fork. So rook e1 played, and now rook e6. Okay, watch out for this one. c6, that's just preparing, that protects the d pawn and preparing the rook. There we go, the rook comes across, and now, well, there's a threat to take on d4. This kind of doubling on the semi-open file is such a common theme and sets up all kinds of tactics. So knight takes d4, exploiting the pin is threatened. I dare say that knight takes e3 and then coming in with a rook is also very strong indeed. So queen d2 to protect the rook, but also to bolster e3. But now g5. In fact, my computer tells me that knight g4 is a winning move as well. So this is rather spectacular, threatening, devastation on e3. And if this is taken, then this is winning. Clearly f3 is impossible because e3 drops, and after this then knight takes d4, and if that's taken then queen h1 mate. But, well, I mean, it's quite possible that Sunilduth saw this, but he just played g5, which is very, very straightforward. It's just basically opening up the g file. If f takes g5, then king h8 is a very nice move, followed by just stepping, whoops, beg your pardon, yeah, king h8 followed by rook g8. In the game, white took on f5 and then h6, hoping white will take, of course, and then rook g6 and rook g6 anyway. And white's king, I'm afraid, is for the chop, and white found nothing better than just to give up the queen. But of course this is absolutely hopeless, and in a couple more moves white had to resign. Well, such a simple game really, but actually very cleverly played by the 19-year-old Indian.